you have the capacity, the ability, but you don't have the heart. And you have to be where your heart is. We are human beings. Our lives, each story, we have to live as we are feeling it and not following a path. And if you follow a path that is the normal path, is okay. But if you don't, it's also okay. This would be my advice. So be safe yourself first and then help others, because otherwise you are going to harm more people. And this is what humanitarians and people who want to go into this path should be aware of. We have to be good to help other people.
Welcome back to Éxito in Minutes. We're super excited that you're here with us today. I gotta say right off the bat, if you have not heard this in Spanish, you gotta listen to this in Spanish and in English. So we are here on the English version with Gisela here. So welcome, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we're gonna start off, Gisela. We wanna hear about you, your story. Her story's amazing. And so let's start off, just tell the audience a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Gisela, but in every language it sounds different.
Yeah.
So I'm used to it now. I am 33 years old. I am a mother and I am a humanitarian psychologist now. This is what I do for a living now.
How did you become a psychologist? Like, what was your path to becoming a psychologist?
First of all, I wanted to be a doctor. So I was in school medicine for a while. But then I realized that I needed something in my life, probably more deep, like to really have a deep connection with patients. And in medicine, sometimes that is not possible. So then I thought a lot about it. And I said, probably my thing is to work with the emotions and mind and the stories of people, and to try to understand what they are going through, even if they are sick, like if they have an illness or not, or if they are suffering emotionally. So then I just change my pathway to become a psychologist.
Okay, we got to unpack that a little bit. I think a lot of times in our life, like we'll hear a podcast and in 2 minutes you tell us a story. You're like, oh, you started medical school and then you just transitioned flawlessly to become a psychologist. But that had to be hard, right? You're in taking classes and all of a sudden you have this thought, I don't want to be a medical MD, right? And then that transition of trying to discover what you want to become. And I think that a lot of times, like what we can learn from this is start walking. A lot of people say, I don't know exactly what I want to do. I think I want to do this. Start doing that. And then along the pathway, you'll pivot and find where you should be, right? So tell us about that. So you get to this moment, it's like, I don't want to be a medical. Was it overnight? Was it the same day?
Actually, it was after a year in med school. I had a burst. No, it's not a burst. It's a scholarship.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was in French. A scholarship. So I had a scholarship and I was studying super hard. And my classmates, they were like, you're so smart. You're going to be the best doctor. And even my parents, they were like, oh, you are like...
Angel,
yes,
future medical
like
doctor.
no one can touch me, and even my siblings. It was like the whole family was so into it, and we start to see the liver, and I was like, okay, no, I don't want to see the liver for
a delivery, like a baby delivery,
like the liver, the liver. You know, the organ.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really cannot. And then I start to questioning myself. I really don't like. I stopped enjoying reading these things and to memorize and to go through the exams and everything without knowing the patients, without knowing what are they going in their lives. And so I asked one teacher, like, so do we ask patients, how are they doing? Do we meet the families of the patients? And he was like, of course not. Like, if it's not necessary, why we are going to do this? So then I just was suffering. I was in a lot of pain and I was like emotionally suffering. Each day I had to go to the med school.
And you didn't want to be there anymore.
Yes. Yeah. So I talked to one of my friends there that he's a doctor. He's super, super good doctor. And he was like, oh, you want to quit the med school, but you are so good student. Like, really, like I saw myself graduating with you and become colleagues and everything. I was like, I'm so sorry to break your dreams, but I cannot. So all my colleagues were in shock.
That's very brave. I have to say that's incredibly brave. When you're doing good, your grades are good, you have family support, you have a scholarship. Most people, I think, or some people, would just keep going down that path and probably not like being a doctor, right? Yeah. But instead, you had to be brave. It's hard. It's a hard conversation to have to your support team and your friends, your colleagues. Hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. Yes. And I commend you for that. That's very impressive.
Thank you. Yes, and even now that I'm telling you the story, for me it was like I was like feeling numb. It was super hard for me. Some things I don't remember, but I remember one teacher saying to me like, "You have the capacity, the ability, but you don't have the heart, and you have to be where your heart is. So don't worry." And I was like, yes, this is true.
That gave you a lot of strength.
Yes, and I said like, yes, my heart is not here. So then I changed. And of course, for my family was, now you're going to be a psychologist. So from the med school, now you are a psychologist. And I was like, yes, but people can keep me call doctor.
Go ahead, keep calling me doctor.
Yes. So then I changed. And since the first day I was in the psychology school, for me was amazing to start understanding why do we think like this, the emotions, the human feelings, the dynamics of people. For me was super, super amazing. And I said to myself, okay, now I am doing what I love to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful to find a place. I mean, it's risky to make that change. I think some of the fear that we have in our lives is we leave something that everybody perceives as really good, and then we make a decision to move. I think that we don't talk enough about that gap of the fear. Because what if you started it and you didn't like that either, right? Like, were you worried about that?
Yes. So my mom, she bought me a book of psychology, and like a big book. And she said like, this time you have to choose wisely. So then I start reading it and I said like, it's super amazing. I really want to do this. And the hard thing about psychology is that people had lots of stigma about mental health. So my family were those of them, of course. And they were super, super worried, like, okay, but you're going to work only with crazy people. You're going to work in the manicomios, I don't, loqueros is like, so.
Sanitariums.
Yes. Okay. So it's our words like to degrade people with mental illness.
The dicho that is a psych ward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Psych ward, yeah.
Yeah. So for me it was a bit hard at the beginning. And every time I think I had to do a psychoeducation with my family, like what is psychology, what I am seeing now. And then, for example, the family meetings, when I was talking like, yes, you should probably do this. I was telling to my sister, and she was like, now you are analyzing me, so stop doing that. And I was like,
yeah, that's
okay,
true.
no, but so yes, even like how people perceive me changed. But for me, I really loved it. I really felt like even if my family don't understand why I'm doing this, for me it has a lot of sense, and I feel like I can help more people from this space now that from the medicine school. I mean, being a doctor, I admire them a lot, and I have worked my whole life with doctors, and I admire their job. Of course, this is so inspiring, but me, I don't see myself doing it.
Well, it's amazing that you found that pathway, you had clarity, and know that if you're in that in-between, I mean, here's a perfect example. You can make a transition. And I love the advice that you got about following your heart. There's a combination. You have to be interested in it, right? And you follow your heart, but that doesn't mean you don't work hard. Right? I think a lot of people think, I'm good at this, I'm going to follow my heart, but without action, without hard work, you're not going to hit your goal. So I'd love to hear about like, what was it like then? Like, how much schooling more did you have to go to? How much more school did you have to go to? So you stopped medical school and then you have to go to another university?
Yes.
And then how long was that?
It was 5 years. So it was like 6 years that I had
when
to
you're
study.
medical school and right into psychology.
Yes. So even when I graduated as a psychologist, my father was like, "Oh, now you could have been a doctor." And I was like, Okay, Dad, you can still call me a doctor, don't worry. Yes, but for me, I didn't feel the time like a limit for me. I just felt like, okay, these things happen. And then I met so many people that were telling me, yes, I changed. I changed after 3 years, after 4 years, or even people that have their careers done. And then it's like, I cannot do this anymore. So also I have thought this recently. Like now our lifespan is more is bigger.
Yeah.
Like now people say that we can even live until 120 years, 110 years. So I'm saying like, okay, I can have like 2 or 3 careers more in my life.
It's true, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
you can.
it's not like like the society is telling you always you have to graduate at this age, then get married, then have children. Like you have to follow a path. But also our life is so diverse. We are human beings. Our lives, each story, we have to live as we are feeling it, and not following a path. And if you follow a path that is the normal path, is okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's also okay.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I think what I'm learning, and possibly the audience too, is that when you look back and reflect at maybe our parents, it was very direct. You're going to become a doctor, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to become a banker. You're going to work in whatever the field it is, investments. And then you have this thought process of when you look at the statistics back then, it showed that most people were in one career for 40 years, right? But now I'm talking my parents, right? And then I remember probably about 10 years ago, I looked up the statistic, and it was an average, people would change their career 5 times. 5 times. And the difference between my parents' generation and our generation is 5 different career pivots. Now, it's going to change varied country to country, depends on what country you're in. But I love that example, right? You pivot after a year, you're now in psychology, and you're also saying, hey, I love what I'm doing, but I might change again one day, right? You never really know. So I want to hear about now the story about you become a psychologist. The day's here, you graduate, you get your title. Then what? What did you do?
Then, well, I was always interested in a humanitarian work, so I was always looking for to gain this experience in the humanitarian pathway. So it was really amazing. I work with an organization to fight against human trafficking. That was my first work, and also there I started to have some contradictions with my profession and my values, like my religious values. So I was so confused. I went to talk to a priest, and he helped me a lot. So that will be my another changing. No, it's not changing.
Like a hinge moment, a pivot.
Yes,
Can help
exactly.
to decide. What was that like? What did you have to decide?
I received a patient that she was trafficked, and but she identified herself as lesbian. So she said, like, I'm suffering a lot because I cannot come out clean with my family and everything. I was like, okay, so should she be my patient or not? Like in the religion, they say like this. It was like 12 years ago. Now everything has evolved differently. But the priest at that time, he gave me some good advice, like why you as a human being are judging everyone. If God, he doesn't judge you. Like she's
He loves her. Yeah.
Yes, like she's welcome in the church. God loves her. You should help her. Why are you even hesitating? Like, okay, yes, I'm sorry. And he was like, yes, so go and do your work and don't worry. It's okay. So that changed me also, like to know, I grew up thinking like we have a God that is punishing us every time. And this idea of God loving us unconditionally, for me, changed everything. And then I was like, okay, yes, I will do this with love, with passion, with ethics. So it will be like God talking also through my intelligence, through my skills. This conversation with that priest changed a lot my profession. And then I start to, and I think because of this, I start to getting more and more involved in populations that were segregated.
I love that.
I work also in prisons, and it was super amazing to see how people are telling you like, oh, the inmates. So tell me what they are telling to you. How did they committed the crime and everything? But actually, no, they were like talking to me of things of their families. Like today, my wife was really cold in our call. I don't know what to do, and I was like, okay, they have a heart, you know.
Yeah.
Like I cannot be there for the first day of school of my toddler, and that also I saw the humanity of these people, that a mistake cannot condemn their lives. They can also keep building their identities, and
It's
they
exactly what you're living, right? You believe in change. You started in medical, right? You pivoted. You're learning that you can take different pathways, and now you kind of pivot to a different segment, and you're here at the prisons, right? And you're learning from them, saying, "Hey, they're not branded, right? Forever they are a thief. Forever they're a felon, they're a criminal, right?" And I love that. So you're learning that, and I love the pathway. Thanks for sharing about God's love. Obviously, we believe the exact same thing, right? Like, absolutely, God is a God of love, and we need to love. That's the most important commandment, right? And so I love that. So as you go along there, now you're working. Are you working full time with the prisoners now?
no, that was at the beginning of my career.
Okay, at the beginning.
Yes,
Okay.
then they closed. Unfortunately, the government closed this project. And then, well, I moved on with the human rights all the time. Then I started to travel around Ecuador to the restitution of human rights of the people. And then I met different stories in my own country. And I was so surprised that these things are happening right in the corner of my house. And I was like, okay, I'm such a privileged person. How I never knew about this. And I started talking about this with my family, and they were shocked as well. So all my family started getting involved in
Are you
this
talking about human trafficking?
human trafficking, and yes, mainly human trafficking.
Okay.
The first 6 years of my career was dedicated to fight against human trafficking. So then my family was so engaged into it. My friends and everyone was super, like, I don't know how to say contagious.
Yeah, it became contagious. Everybody wanted
Yes.
to help in the
So
effort.
it was super inspiring to see this.
Oh, yeah.
But then at one point, with the restitution of human rights, I start to think, probably we have a gap here. We don't have a mental health politic here in Ecuador. So probably I need to change again my path. I was planning to become a psychoanalyst and become so specialized in mental health. But then I said, no, probably I will take the public health masters. This might be more helpful for my career and for the people I want to help. So then I went to Belgium without knowing so much French. And again, this.
So you got accepted into a university in Belgium.
Yes, actually, I applied for a university in Argentina. Easier, of course,
Yeah, of
in
course.
Spanish and like in Latin America, but they never answer. Actually, the other day I was looking for the email if they ever answer. No, they never answer. But it was I think a lucky turn.
Yeah.
Then I contact this guy in Belgium and I said, I don't know French. And he said like, okay, so you should start learning. And I was like, it's true. So I quit my job. I put all my savings into learn French during 6 months full time. My mind was focused on it. And I got like the minimum level, not a master's level. But I said, okay, if the university is not saying no, I will just keep going. Yes, I will stop when someone is say to me no. But they didn't even care. I went there.
Listen to that story. Listen to that story. She's saying, okay, a lot of times I think we stop ourselves, right? We're like, okay, my French isn't good enough. I really don't understand. I can't do this. And you, like, where did you learn that? I mean, you're like, I'm going to do this until they tell me to stop, right? That's an impressive characteristic you have.
Actually, yes, thank you. Actually, I have always thought like my brain is amazing. My brain is amazing, and I always thank God of it. So I said like, if it's on my mind, it's because I can do it. And then I just
You just did
went, yes, I just did it. And even my parents were like, you don't know French. How are you going to do this? And I said like, listen, I don't know. And then again, I talked to a teacher and she said to me, I didn't know Spanish when I came here. She was French. And she said, but I spent all my summer, all my Christmas holidays, the New Year's Eve studying Spanish because I wanted to get my diploma in Spanish. So probably you will have to do the same thing. You will have lots of hours sitting in that library if this is what you want to do. And I was like, okay. So I had that in my mind. I went every time. The first 4 months I was in Belgium, I was every time repeating every course in every lesson in French. I was repeating it, like really rewriting everything. And yes, then I learned French. It was integrated in me, but it was really hard. Now I can tell you like this, but I am looking back at those days, a lot of hard work, and it's me against me. Like I had to be consistent. I have to be
Me
like
against me. I
focused.
love that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, it's like I've got to do this. Consistency and focus.
yes, exactly.
That's what you're saying, right? Wow. Okay, so you can see why she's on the podcast. We're loving this. We're loving this story. So now you did it, right? You get your master's, and this is your master's in public health.
Yes, in public health. And this a fun fact
Yeah.
is that I had to see again some courses I saw in the med school because this master's is mainly for doctors. So I was like, okay, this is karma, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to take one more year doing all these medical terms and the medical catch up. And I was like, this is so funny. Like my life is like following this thing is following me everywhere I go.
you go.
Yeah, but it was actually super fun. It was super fun because I had to learn from diseases. I had to learn from statistics, many things that normally I would not be so passionate to learn. I was so passionate to learn at that time. Yeah.
So beautiful story. Now you're graduated. You're in Belgium. And then where did you go from there? Did you stay in Belgium? Did you?
Actually, I was working there, but then the COVID arrived. So I was working with children, and then they had to close everything that was that had to do with children had closed like immediately.
Yeah.
So I had the work. They were paying me, but no actual work. So at one point, my boss, she said, okay, I have to close this.
Yeah.
I have to fire all of you. But the problem is with you because you're not Belgian. So I'm scared of your situation, of your legal situation and everything. And I was so devastated because, of course, the policies changed and everything. And during COVID, things were super strange. So in a normal basis, probably I could have asked for my, to be a regular in Belgium until I find another job. But the situation was so complex that I said, okay, I have to go back to Ecuador. But I knew an organization that was Doctors Without Borders. And I said, I will apply for it because it was the position in Argentina. So I said, like, probably this is my dream always to go to Argentina. I will apply. And then I came back to Ecuador. And after like probably 6 months, they called me to say, hey, we have chosen your profile. Now we want to interview you. And I was, okay, in shock. I didn't tell anyone in my family. I didn't tell anyone. I was like doing my stuff because I didn't want to be so disappointed to tell everyone, oh,
Guess
I failed.
what?
Yes. So I was just doing everything so secretly. I was telling my dad, can you print this for me? And he was like, okay, this is strange what you're doing. And I'm like, nothing. And then suddenly I was like, can you be silent, please, for 2 hours? And they were like, okay, what are you doing? I'm like, I think. So it was so mysterious. And then I was calling my friends, like, hey, do you have this information? Do you remember about this? Always they were like, you're so mysterious. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, it's definitely, I can see why it's out of the norm, right? And you're also that friend that just one day is in France or in Belgium, or maybe you're in, we'll hear later on in the podcast. I'm just throwing out countries because the point is you're that friend that they don't really know what you're doing, right?
Yes, I'm mysterious, I think.
Which is a good thing.
So then yes, my public health masters helped me a lot, and the friends I made there helped me a lot for this process because they were like 70% from Africa, from Congo. So from DRC, so I asked them for help. There were specific questions about Africa that I didn't not know. So they helped me a lot. And they were like, what are you doing in Ecuador?
Yeah.
Asking about DRC. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I got the call. This process took like 2 months, probably, because they called me from Argentina. They check there, everything. They send it back to Barcelona. And then they reply back if I was accepted or no. So it took a lot of time. And then at one point, the only person I told was my sister, my little sister. And she was telling me, okay, this is enough. Probably you should get a job here in Ecuador. And
You have no idea how much time I put into this, right? Like you're probably wanting to express like, this is a lot of work.
Yes, and I have, even until now, I have my papers from Doctors Without Borders, because for me it's like my I don't know, my biggest achievement. And also one of the amazing thing I found the other day, that the first interview I had with these people, I put like in the paper in my notebook, I put like, please God help me, and I think I asked with so much faith on it. And then I look back at this phrase like, please God help me. And I was like, oh, he helped me actually.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yes,
cool
it was super, it was super good. And then when they called me from like, okay, you are in, congratulations. I was in shock and I was like, okay, congratulations of what?
Yeah,
now,
like where are they sending you?
Which is the next step? And he was like, okay, you're already in. And I was like, okay. So I was super numb. And then I told all my family. But then they told me, the position is not in Argentina. I think you are thinking you will come to Argentina. This is an international position. You have to go to conflict zones. And then I was, okay, this is new for me. I thought it was in Argentina. And
where did they send you? Where did you go?
The first option was Central African Republic. They sent me directly to CAR, to the Sexual Violence Project. It was super amazing, this project.
That's where they sent you?
Yes.
So you're thinking Argentina, and next thing you know, you're not even close to Argentina.
No, it's so
Which has happened twice,
different.
right? You applied to go to university in Argentina, they don't answer you.
Yes.
But this time you apply again thinking you're going to Argentina, and they send you to Africa, right?
Probably the sign.
Yeah. And what were you say that, repeat that one more time. What were you doing there specifically? It was in a zone of, did you say?
A conflict zone.
A conflict zone.
I was the responsible for the Sexual Violence Project, the responsible of the mental health team in the Sexual Violence Project.
Mental health.
Here I have a question. Okay, you were assigned to serve there on the sexual side, which I think is like, it's so crazy for me to think. I have a daughter, and she would be like, hey Dad, I'm going to Africa and I'm gonna help people that are passing through sexual violence.
Yeah.
I'll be okay, wait, you're going to do what?
Doing?
Where?
Yeah.
I was like, where? Who gave you the permission? It's like, it's just, so I don't know. It's so hard to understand that as a family, that a daughter will be there helping other people in that hard situation. So what would you recommend to some of those people that are struggling with it, this kind of thing, of this mentality is like, no, you're a woman, you should take care of these things, and probably cutting your your desire to grow because they think because you're a woman you can do that?
Well, I think it's a bit of what I said at the beginning. Like, we are so pressed to do these things, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you must. But at the end, you have to live your life with your heart. And for my family, it was even logic. Like, this is the logic pathway for her, because I have been engaged in this life since I was 20 years. So for them was, okay, she's going
Makes
to Africa.
sense.
Yes, it makes sense.
You're working in human trafficking here, and then you're applying, and yeah. Okay, so that's cool.
That's cool. And you know what? This applies with the very first thing you said at the beginning, to be where your heart is.
Yes.
It's like everything sends you to your heart. So your heart's in Africa, not in Argentina.
Yes. But then, of course, my parents, they were a bit scared. But during the interview, what I did was I did a lot of research about this organization. And I know they are serious people, that they won't let you in to places it's super dangerous for you, where your life and your integrity, your dignity, even your mental health is compromised. They always are sure where they are sending to you. And also, what is really good about this organization is that at every moment you can say, hey,
I'm done.
I cannot do this. I want to go back home. And they are not going to judge you. There's no consequence, no legal consequences, no HR consequences. They are going to say just like, okay, you are done with this. You are not functional. It's okay. Go back home, rest. And then when you are ready to go again, go. And I think this for my family was reassuring them that I am in a good place with good people, with ethical people, with people that take care of your security. And also, this would be my advice, not to do impulsively. Like, I want to help people, I will do, I don't know how, I just will do it. You have always to care for your integrity, for your own security, and then you can help other people. There's, in psychology, we'll use this metaphor of the oxygen mask. So if the plane is losing oxygen, please, before helping others, put your mask first. So be safe yourself first, and then help others, because otherwise you are going to harm more people. And this is what humanitarians and people who want to go into this path should be aware of. We have to be good to help other people.
I love that.
Always have a plan.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Now I love this, right? There's high respect for that organization. Incredible. Doctors Without Borders, amazing. And that they're taking care of their people as you're taking care of others. I love that aspect. So while you were there, was there a time that you needed to leave? Does it get so heavy? Is it so difficult for you or other doctors that where you need to have a break?
Yes. Actually, I met I met a doctor. He went there for 1 week, and then he said, "This is too heavy for me. I cannot work with this." As Alex said, I have a daughter. I cannot work in this subject. It touches me a lot. So then he returned back home. It's okay. It's his decision, and it's his right to say no at one point. So I met this guy. Then the other cases, I cannot think about it now. The security situation, yes, of course, sometimes gets super heavy, because we have to remember we are in conflict zones. So the security situation can degrade super fast, can change super fast from one day to another.
Did that happen while you were there?
Yes, because there were elections back at that time, so everything became super messy, and we had to evacuate.
Where did you evacuate to?
To Kenya.
To Kenya?
Yes.
So did you work in Kenya after that?
I mean, we work, but since there was no good internet connection, we were just supporting data, to entering data, and trying to talk with the team. But it was super hard. We evacuated for a week or two, then the situation calmed down and we went back. Yes. So these things can happen, and you have to trust the organization. You have to trust the people that is above you, that have much more experience, much more knowledge, and they are taking good decisions to take care of you, to take care of the project, and so they don't have to take unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
How long were you there for?
7 months.
Wow, that's a long time to be
Yeah.
working in that area.
Yeah.
I commend you. That's amazing. You and
But
your
this
whole
is
team. What a
amazing.
beautiful team. What a beautiful organization.
Yes.
You got to see the impact of lives being changed. Where did you go from there?
There I went to DRC. Then I was in Congo. I was in different cities. I was a flying mental health. They call this position like that. So I was from this project to that project to that project. But again, for security reasons, I could not fly to one of the projects. So I got stuck in one project, and then it became so difficult. But then you have to be flexible. You have to adapt yourself. You have to trust the team, the decisions they are taking. So yes, I went there in DRC. The situation was a bit more complex. Because there is this big country with many conflicts, but also in DRC, I found it really nice. They had this mental health policy super evolved for our time. I never seen this policy,
That's
mental health
impressive.
policy. Yes, I was so shocked. Like this country, we cannot think that they have this kind of mental health policy.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it.
Yes, not at all. Even here in Ecuador, that we have lots of psychologists and people that are really cultivated. But there, they had really high standards for mental health. And it was so nice to work there. But I think my experience, I was a bit more mature there. So my decisions were a bit more like a cold feet, you can say like this. Like
More cautious?
Yes, I was more cautious about it. It was not like in car. In car, the situation was changing super fast. Here in Congo, things were changing, but you could manage a bit more the changes. So it was good for me to change from chaotic to not that chaotic.
Yeah, less chaotic.
Yes, so it
more
was good.
organized.
And then I went to South Sudan.
Oh.
Yes, I wanted to improve my English. So then
You're like, I'll just learn English while I'm at it. Your family's probably calls. What country do you live in and what language are you speaking in, right? So you went there to speak English, learn English.
Yes, to improve my English, and because I have never in my life worked in English. And then I said, after 3 months, this is too much for me. I cannot jump from one mission to another. It's so
because you were working there in English then.
Yes.
So that was another project.
Yes.
But
first,
in English. Okay.
Yes,
gotcha.
was South Sudan. So I called my coordinator and said, I cannot do this. I want to go back home. I really need to rest for a while.
Well, you've been out over a year, right?
It was.
How long were you gone for? 7 months? And
2 years.
You were gone 2 years? Wow. For some reason, I thought it was like, obviously my Spanish isn't that good because I heard this in Spanish already. I thought it was a year. That's 2 years. That's a long time.
No, it was a
beautiful
long time.
experience.
Yes. And then.
You came back here?
Yes. Between missions, between each project, I always came back here. But yes, it was even too short. I could not recover from DRC because it was heavy as a project, like in the sense of responsibilities. It was super heavy. Managing 3 different projects in a big city, in a big country, super hard. So I came back and then I said, okay, let's go to South Sudan immediately. And no, it was not a wise decision. Yeah. So then I called to my coordinator. I said, I want to go back home, but I don't want you to fire me, please. And she was like, we're not firing you. Don't worry, you have to rest. We understand. Take your time. So I took probably 2 years out of the field. because then I got pregnant, so I became a mother.
Oh, fun.
Yes. But I was always talking with my coordinator. I got engaged in different trainings, and it was super amazing. They kept me in mind for everything. Like, okay, we need your opinion on this. Okay, what do you think about that? What do you think about the other thing? So it was super good. I can tell that people there has this high sense of humanity, of solidarity. So they are thinking, okay, you need your time to rest. Go and take a rest. We are not going to fire you. If you want to be a mother now, okay, go and take care of your child. Don't worry. So for me, it was super amazing. This, and yeah,
And so then you get to that point, which congratulations, you have a daughter?
son,
A son. So congratulations. How old is he now?
a year and a half.
Ooh, okay. So since then, so you have a son, and this is what fascinates me. It shows a little bit about your drive. I would think you had a son and you stopped traveling, you've never gone anywhere else. But in the Spanish version, you didn't, right? Like, that's impressive. You decided that you still wanted to help, not only here in Ecuador, which is beautiful, but also to go to another location. So tell us about that.
Yes, actually, for me, it was super hard. I was thinking a lot about it because I mean, you have your parents also, so it's super hard to split at one point of your life. Okay, my career or my children or my family. But the good thing about my family is that they support me. They fully support me with these decisions because they know it's a big deal to be part of Doctors Without Borders, and they know I want to pursue my career there. So I talked to them. I talked to my coordinator. It was super hard to have all these elements together, like to be child friendly, to be motherhood friendly, not too much time, but not so little time, like
It's a hard balance.
exactly.
Hard balance to find the right position for you where you
But
can
we
go.
found it. So actually, in January of this year, of 2024, unfortunately, the war started in Gaza. So they asked me to be remotely helping the project in Gaza during 2 months, and I said I accepted. And it was super okay. And then they told me, okay, there's going to be a ceasefire, so you don't have to come. Don't worry. And I was like, okay.
So originally you're thinking, I might have to go there for a little bit, but I'll do it remote. And then there's a ceasefire.
I don't
so
have to go.
I don't have to go.
Yes, because then the local team we will hand over to the local team and they will take control of their project.
That's great.
But it didn't happen. So they called me and they say, we need you there because you opened the project for mental health. We need you here. And I was like, okay. But it was only for 5 weeks.
I love how she says, but it's only 5 weeks. Okay, I'm in another conflict zone. I now have a son. I'm thinking only for 5 days. Okay, I can do it for 5 days. It's still 5 weeks and not a super safe place to be in the world.
No,
Yeah.
of
Right?
course not.
And so how did you come to peace with that and decide to do it?
I think my mom, she's a strong woman that I love so much. And she was like encouraging me, like, okay, your son is going to be with people that love him, that care for him. You're not leaving him in the street. He's with us, with his family. So just do it because this is your dream and you don't have to let go your dreams.
I love your dream. First of all, your mom, what a strength, right? I love the strength of parents, right? It is behind every incredible person or incredible parents in a village of people that help. But then also I love just think about this. Maybe my dream is to go to Rio de Janeiro on the beach for 5 weeks. And her mom says, I know this is your dream to help others in a war conflict zone, right? So super impressive. And I love that's instilled, it's innate in you. You want to go help. And that had to be, were you scared?
Actually, no. I think my, how do you say, my
Tolerance level?
tolerance level to fearness
Yeah.
is like super high, super high. So there are few things that really scare me. And also, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm not so scared of death.
Yeah.
Me, I think like I have processed this my whole life. And since COVID, I decided like I will live my life because I don't want to be scared my whole life and be healthy, but mentally being overwhelmed by fear. So I decided like, okay, I will do things until someone says no.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so
kind of your mantra. It's your theme.
Visa was okay, so I will go. And then I went there.
Were you scared while you were there? I mean, I was asking,
Yes,
were you
yes.
scared before? You were not. But when you got there, was it scary?
Yes, but I think I kind of detached from my emotions because being there and scared, I think it would be a super, super difficult. As I said, and I keep saying it, I trust my team. I trust the people.
And they've proven themselves
Yes.
to protect you and
Exactly.
everybody else.
And also I asked who is in charge of the security there. And actually was the same person in charge of the security back in Congo.
Oh.
So I said like, she's amazing. She's super
gonna take
smart
care of
woman.
us.
I am definitely in. So I went and I met her actually, and she was like, "Oh, now you have a baby," and I was like, "Yeah, what a change!" And she was like, "Yes, what a change."
Okay, women power.
Yeah.
Honestly, women, I love this podcast specifically. You know, this podcast is for Latin America, specifically in Ecuador, and you don't hear that every day. You might in other countries, but you're saying the head of security. Of course, people here are going to think was a man. Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, here is this woman that went into conflict zones that built this level of trust with you
Yeah.
that you then felt like a comfort blanket. Hey, if she's in charge, we're safe.
Yes.
And that is so
That's
impressive.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get there and she's in charge. You're excited to see her now. She's like, you're a mom.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
also it was super amazing because my coordinator, my career coordinator, she said like, "I know you're a mom. I will never put you in a bad situation. Trust me, I'm also a mom." And I was like, okay. So I had many people telling me like, "Why not?" And I was like, all the doubts were in my head actually, but as I was speaking, was walking my path, everything was just seemed to be opening. Like, oh, this is amazing. This is what I should do now. So I went there to the Gaza Strip. Of course, when I got in, was a complete different experience from when I went out. You know, the situation.
When you went in, it was a ceasefire, correct?
No,
Oh, it wasn't a
it
ceasefire.
wasn't a ceasefire, but the Rafah border was still open. So that changed a lot. That changed a lot the dynamics. So you could go in. It was super easy to go in. You had the Palestinian Authority, you had the Egyptian Authority. They were like a normal airport, you know, a normal border zone. They check your baggage, your luggage, and everything, and your papers. Everything is in order. Okay, go in. So it was super smooth, I would say. I will say. And then I found this driver, and he was super amazing. He told me like, once I met an Ecuadorian woman, and I was like, whoa.
Small world.
Yes, and he said like, yes, she cooked really well. So he became friends because back at the time he thought to learn Spanish. So he was like trying to make pen pals, you know, through the email and everything. And then they met in Egypt and they became really good friends. But it was a long time ago. And he said, I never met someone else from Ecuador. And now you're here. You're from Ecuador. Oh, I'm surprised. How do you cook? I'm like,
You're like, I'm not here to cook. I didn't fly to the Gaza Strip to cook, but still, that's very cool.
yes, no, but he was super, super fun. He was super welcoming. He said like, here you have some Palestinian sweets. I was amazed because on other missions, on other projects, I was not received like that.
Which is beautiful. And also to land, cross the border, get situated. What a great comfort, right? That for me, that would bring a lot of peace because you're connecting to the driver. He's telling you a little bit, and then they bring you to, it sounds like a beautiful suites, right? Where you're at. What was the work like?
It was really heavy. I mean, for example, me, different from other projects I have been into. The main difference is that I am like there to supervise, you know. I am like, okay, what are you doing now? you do this task, you do this task. I'm like managing, this is my job to manage the team. But here I realized like they are super capable, but they are under lots of stress, because Palestinian, what really surprised me is that they are super educated. They have higher degrees, they have master's degrees, they speak 2, 3 languages. They are like super cultivated people. So it's not like you have to be behind of their backs, like micromanaging them. It's like,
you can cast a vision and they execute.
yes, so you explain the idea, they execute. And sometimes they come with the idea like, it's better to do like this. Like, okay, do it. So I was mainly like, I have to be less strict in my management. I have to be more a human being. So I was mainly there to support them, and many times different from other projects as well. I stayed, they didn't have laptops, for example, or internet, or you didn't have a specific office that you can stay long hours for work.
Wait, I'm sure people are listening to this podcast trying to conceptualize like, how do you communicate without laptops or internet or cell phones, or how did that take place? How did you, just so we can understand, how did that happen?
Face-to-face meeting.
Face to face. So you would explain to somebody, you'd manage a team, and that team would then go meet with the people.
Yes.
And then help the people, and then they need some guidance. They'll come back to you and say, "Here's a situation. What do I do?" And then you give them some feedback and find your resources. Is that how it works?
Yes, because communications is so limited there, and this is the main. How do you say the main? The main limits. Challenge. The main challenge in this work is the communication, because phones are not working normally. To reach someone, it can take you like 1 hour to reach someone by phone. If you send an email, people is going to tell you, okay, I don't have my laptop, I don't have internet, I have to come to the office until 4 o'clock, and then I saw your email. So you have to try to meet people in person. And this is why we have to organize our movements and everything, because communication is super, super bad. And yes, this is the main difference also with other projects, that they can stay for after work doing their job and everything. But here, no, because transportations have been so limited now.
I'm thinking of this complex transportation communication. Now looking back, during those 5 weeks, what is something that you're the most proud of from you and the team accomplished together? I know it's never one person, but that you accomplished as a team being there, or maybe something super impactful for the people.
I think I'm super proud because I hired this guy, the psychologist. He did not speak that much of English, but he had this idea. He showed me, I have this carnival for kids. So there is these sessions to work emotions, sexual abuse prevention, to be nice with each other. Well, he had this plan. So I said, okay, have you done this? And he's like, oh, with your support, I will do. He was so confident. And I was like, okay. And he's like, if you hire me, I will do it. And I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
But because he was so confident in his project for kids. So then I said like, okay, I will hire you. And then I hired him. I told him, what do you need? He made a list. And I, like, with the logistics, we bought it. And I said like, let's see what will happen. And it was super amazing, this carnival for kids. And then after 2 weeks, seeing children so empowered of their mental health, they were talking to doctors, hey, it's 11 now. Where is the mental health activities? And doctors were so like, okay, how old are you? And you are speaking about mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And then we were doing this so frequently. Everyone was talking about these activities. And then we kind of opened these activities also for mothers and for fathers. So it was super amazing.
So you're educating in this carnival. So sometimes a carnival to me, it brings up in my mind like rides, or activities, right? Like with kids. Is this an educational carnival where you came in and had like almost work groups where the kids would come in and was it an all day thing? Kind of describe what it was.
It was a carnival. Well, the word carnival. He decided this is Mahmoud, the name of my colleague. He decided it because it was symbolic. Like in a wartime, to have a space where you can where you can enjoy being alive. So it was for
That's why I used the
3 hours. For 3 hours, we sang, we sang, we danced, we create songs, we read stories, we draw. We did many activities. At the beginning, it was only for children, but then fathers and mothers came also in. And since there were no schools, children start feeling like this is my safe space. So we built, also with the help of a real powerful woman that was my medical coordinator, we built a big space for this activity because she saw it and children were under the sun. And she was like, why are they there?
Yeah.
And if it rains,
So you built a venue.
yes.
Wow. And so then what was the frequency of these carnivals?
Each week, and then to do this program of the emotions of the prevention of sexual abuse was each 2 days. So the whole week was full with these children activities.
I love this. I can see why that's like what you're most proud of while being there. I love the thought for the audience that's sitting here. You live in Quito, so a Quiteñan authorized, oversaw, and helped a project with, who were you with? What was the name of the gentleman that you hired? Mahmoud, right? Who is not even close to Ecuador. You guys work together with the team, with the organization, and you carry out one of the most beautiful projects. And you think you can't do something in 5 weeks? Look what you guys accomplished in 5 weeks.
Yes.
And to see, like you said, the impact on the children, and just that like perception of, hey, what is mental health and how can I be mentally healthy? And then the last comment I want to make, I got a few more questions for you, obviously, but the last comment from what you said that really struck me is, what do we take for granted, right? Like when you think of our lives, you came up with an idea to have a place for maybe an hour, 2 hours, a couple hours, where people can feel safe, where they can have fun, where they can sing, where they can dance, where they can learn. And yet all those things we can do today if we want here in Ecuador.
Yeah.
Right? But you created that space with a team. So just very impressive. I love the story. So you did that and you were there for 5 weeks. What was it like after this project or during this project, by the time it came time to come home? Was it the same? Was it just as safe or was it more complicated? Were you able to, what was it like? Paint a picture for us.
Actually, I had to stay there 2 more weeks.
So 7 weeks you were there?
Yes, 8 weeks actually.
8 weeks.
I was there because
you want to learn another language. No, just joking. Just joking.
actually I'm learning Arabic. but yes, so because the movements were canceled, the situation was really complicated. We didn't reach, unfortunately, they didn't reach, sorry, for a ceasefire talk. Yes, so
it was complication. Your security and for your exit plan,
yes.
It became
so
complicated.
Then the Rafah border was closed.
Oh.
And then it was my exit border, and I was like, okay, how
do I
do
leave
it?
the country?
Yes. So again, I just said my life is under good hands. My child is protected.
And you're serving.
Yes. I said, like, I will keep waiting. It's okay.
I feel like there's a special protection from God, right? You're serving his children, and it's back to literal children, right? And then also their parents, and you're there helping in a strip that's forgotten. A lot of people wouldn't do what you do, right?
Yes.
And so how did you get out? What was the next steps to get out of the border?
Well, we had to coordinate with many organizations. Well, I did not do this. The security people in Barcelona, in Switzerland, and wherever they did it. And then it was like, okay, you have, every day they were like, not sorry, not today. But we had our bags packed
and ready.
And then like one day they said like, okay, tomorrow you are going to go. And yes, I think.
How did you get out? Where did you fly out of?
Actually, we did to the border of Karem Shalom. That is not Egyptian or Palestinian, is from Israeli side. So we went there, and then we crossed. We had like a safe pass to Jordan. So then we had to travel across Israel, and then you arrive to Jordan.
And from Jordan, you've made your way back to Ecuador. Wow.
It's if it's for the safety of the team, it's okay. We have to follow these rules. So yes, the exit was a bit more complicated. I mean, when we thought I was going to go out, the team did a party for me, a farewell party, and it was super amazing. Yes, I think it touched a lot my heart, because knowing their situation, that they didn't have a lot of money, that they didn't have transportation, that for them Friday is the family day, and they took that space to come to say goodbye to me. It really touched me a lot. And then they start dancing dabka, that is a typical Palestinian dance. And it was super, super fun. And then I was teaching them like Ecuadorian dances. And they were like, oh, this is so amazing. I want to go to Ecuador and everything. So yes, even in these hard times, we had these spaces to have fun, to enjoy life, and to become closer as colleagues. And this is what they needed. Someone to come and say like, hey, I come from Ecuador, that is in the other side of the world. Probably you have never heard of Ecuador, but I am here to help you. I'm here with you. You are not alone. So they were like, yes, this is so amazing. But a funny thing is that when I told them like, hey, I am from Ecuador in South America, they were like, oh, the situation there is so complicated now. Like, okay, yes.
I love that, right? Yes. That perception.
Yeah, the perception. That's
You're
funny.
like, not compared to here, right? Wow. I mean, sure, it's definitely complicated, but what a great representation for the country of Ecuador, just your actions and what you've done and how you've started. I hate to say we're running out of time. I could listen to you for hours, and I'm truly mean that. You are so impressive. And
thank you.
Thank you for what you did. And thanks for all the Doctors Without Borders and multiple other organizations that are doing this throughout the world. Alex, did you have any questions before we wrap up?
I have no questions. I'm so impressed. I think it's the very first time that I took some notes about what you said that I'm going to apply in my life. And one of is like, you just said something that I needed to hear. It's like, don't live with fear. It's like, find a way to get rid of the fear and do whatever you have to do. So that is very impressive, because we've talked a lot about defeating our fears, defeating ourselves, the things that we create in our minds. And you just said it is like, just go, find a way, have a plan, and you'll be successful. You have to be where your heart is. So it's like, thank you so much. It was very impressive for us. I'm pretty sure for our audience, it's going to be the exact same thing.
But also I want to close saying you one thing. I also learn, and this I am trying to say to my child every day, like, safety first, and then go for the adventure. So this is my advice also. First your safety, and then you can do whatever you want. So don't take unnecessary risks. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks again for joining us. And thanks for joining us, our audience. Please listen to both versions, because you will learn from both of them, Spanish and English. Thanks for your time today, and have a great day. Ciao.
Bye.